I need more practice. Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce, and today we're talking about dummy cartridges that you can make from your 3D printer. These are also, you can consider them snap caps, which we'll go into that here in a moment. What are the advantages of 3D printing your dummy cartridges? It's mostly price and availability. There are some oddball cartridges out there that you just can't find a local snap cap source for. If you're looking for something weird, then you can probably find the file online to print it off, but you probably won't be able to find it at your local sporting goods store. The second reason for 3D printing your dummy cartridges, and the most relevant, is price. Each one of these 30-06 rounds here, I printed off, being extra sturdy printing, for about 10 cents a piece. You can print them off cheaper if you just want a display purpose, non-functioning dummy cartridge. But to actually have it chamber and be extracted easily, then you're going to print them off about 10 cents a piece, being extra sturdy. Now, why would you want a dummy cartridge? Well, for any kind of situation where you want the activity of loading a cartridge in your firearm without actually loading a cartridge in your firearm. Say you're in a situation, an area where you should not be loading a firearm, say in your house, amongst other people that you're doing like a demonstration, for demonstration purposes, amongst a crowd. You don't want to be putting a live cartridge in that firearm unless you're able to point down range while you're doing it. So if you're not able to do that, then use a dummy cartridge. If you want to, for display purposes, for museums use a lot of dummy cartridges that look like the real thing, but they're actually not. They're also used for training purposes. Dummy cartridge, practicing the speed drills, the shotgun here. Nice. So if you want to induce a malfunction, let's say you have a Glock and you want to induce a malfunction, you'll take a normal 9mm Glock magazine and every couple of rounds or so you throw in a dummy 9mm round. So then at some point, unbeknownst to you, you're going to be loading a inoperable cartridge and you'll pull the trigger, it will go click instead of boom, and you know you need to reach up, rack the slide, remove the dummy cartridge out, and then keep on firing. And it's there to basically simulate a firearms malfunction. Now, I did not design any of these rounds, any of these files. I actually downloaded them from a website called Thingiverse, and they have a ton of items there, basically free. You can tip the designer, which is fantastic, but for these rounds here, the information is out there and you can just download it and print it off. There's no manipulation on your part that is needed for the most part. I did come across a problem with the 30-06 round because I printed off a bunch of 30-06 rounds for my M1 Garand rifle, and I tried to chamber a few and they chambered fine, but then when I tried to clear the chamber, the head of the case got ripped off the cartridge, and then when it fell to the ground, the nose end broke off as well, making it a hollow point. A little tight. Oh, the case head snapped off because I did not make the print enough robust to be used as a dummy cartridge for firearms. Now, as a reloader, I have used several types of dummy cartridges in the past that were made of actual cartridge components, like my world famous pointers here. This is a 7.62 by 54R for a Mosin Nagant rifle. I made a handful of dummy 9mm rounds several years ago, and that was to troubleshoot some issues I had with my Remington R51 pistol, which I still think is a great pistol. It's been discontinued. You can find them pretty cheap right now, brand new out of the box. Highly recommended. Be ready to work on a magazine. A normal bullet and then an empty brass case with a hole drilled in it, so I know that it is not a usable cartridge. And on the bottom, just to make it an actual official snap cap, I used some hot glue and I filled in the primer pocket with hot glue to kind of give it a springiness for the firing pin to hit. That is an issue that these 3D printed cartridges have, is the fact that if you use this as a snap cap, it will only work once because it will not rebound. You're basically, the firing pin I've got one here somewhere that I used a firing pin on. There we go. The firing pin will make an indentation and it will stay there. So going forward, if you use this again as a snap cap to cushion the firing pin is not going to be slowed down pretty much at all by your dummy cartridge. So what I would recommend is to take a normal drill, household drill or whatever, drill out a little section where the primer would be. Basically make your own primer pocket and then use a hot glue gun, fill it with hot glue. That will add some springiness to it and put a piece of rubber down there for the firing pin to be cushioned against. The only time I have felt like I needed a snap cap to protect the firing pin is with one of my pistols here. Well, I've got several oddball pistols back here, but let's see, here it is. And of course, the second you grab a pistol, you remove the magazine and you clear it. This is cleared. This is a CZ52 pistol. They are notorious for having very brittle firing pins. You dry fire this enough, you will snap the end off of that firing pin, making it useless. Now, at some point in the past, one of the very first things I did when I bought this was to buy a titanium firing pin, for a newly manufactured titanium firing pin. There used to be a company that made them. They're out of business now, so I'm glad I picked that up when I did. Now, most modern day pistols have no problem with the firing pin. You can dry fire it till the cows come home without an issue. You can dry fire a Glock forever without any problems. I would recommend to refrain from dry firing a 22 either rifle or pistol, anything that's chambered in 22 long rifle. But other than those, which some of those are still okay to dry fire, but it's just it's the best practice to not dry fire any of them because you don't know which ones will have an issue and which ones don't. So just don't dry fire any of them. What the heck is wrong with me, guys? I forgot to give you a ping. It's honestly been 3 days since I initially made that video, and I'm about to edit it and I realized I didn't give you a ping, and you guys deserve a ping every time I bring out the M1. All right, so we're going to click this down. There we go. We got a cartridge loaded, a dummy cartridge loaded, and a clip, and when you fire that sucker off, it will eject the spent case and the clip. So here we go. That thing makes a racket on concrete floor. Man, I sure wish this thing was cheaper to shoot. I would shoot it every day. I use orange for the printouts because I wanted to be able to find them if I use them for training purposes. Also, I want them to stick out really well on camera to prove to everybody that I was using a dummy cartridge. I don't want anybody to be confused and think I am putting myself or someone else near me in danger by loading an actual live cartridge, when in fact it was a dummy round. As a final tip on 3D printing your own dummy cartridges, I found that with my very inexpensive setup that I had a lot of stringing problems between cartridges. If I printed a lot at once, there'd be kind of strings of plastic going from one to the other. To get a super clean cartridge, I print them off one at a time. And lastly, the changes I made to print off the cartridges extra sturdy so it can withstand being extracted from a firearm. I doubled the thickness of the wall to 1.5 millimeters, and I made the top and bottom completely solid for the first 5 and last 5 millimeters. Well guys, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to stay on Deuce and Guns channel, go ahead and click on one of these 2 videos right over here, and that will keep you watching away. If you like this video, go ahead and hit me a like. That really helps out the channel and the video itself. So go ahead and do that. As always, you guys have a great day. See ya.